most investors will miss out on profits this crypto bull run not because of bad luck, but because of these 7 crucial mistakes. And I bet you're making at least one of them already. My name is Robin. I've been mentoring crypto investors for the past 4 years, and these are just some of the results we have helped them to achieve in the last 14 days. Now let's dive in right away. Mistake number 1 that keeps most investors from keeping their profits: they sell too late. Let me give you a real example. One of our CGP members, let's call him Joe, went all in during the last bull run. He nailed narrative trading and he was way ahead of the curve on the AI agent type. To give you some perspective, he bought virtuals before it did a 10x, AS16Z and AXBT, he was in before both of them went 100x. So yeah, you can imagine what that did to a 6-figure portfolio. His confidence went through the roof, and at some point he felt untouchable, even though Jacques and I told him to start taking profits because our system was screaming that the market was way too overheated. He held on. Why? Because greed kicks in. And when you see your portfolio printing those numbers, you start thinking you are the best investor alive. But here's the problem. If you don't have a simple, executable exit strategy, you will always sell too late. Now, long story short, he wrote his portfolio all the way up to 7 figures and then watched it crash right back to where he started. You want to avoid that? Then you need an exit strategy. And since I'm not here to just drop warnings without solutions, let me show you a simple framework you can use right now. So what you want to do is head over to TradingView, and maybe you will realize that there's preset from the other video I've made. The first thing that you want to do before you plan like your exit for like a specific coin that you're holding is first to analyze, okay, which of the majors is the strongest major. And right now we only look at 3. So first of all, it's Ethereum, then we also have Solana and Bitcoin, obviously. So what you want to do now is to figure out what the strongest of them is. And there's I try to make it very simple. 1 second. Let me quickly clear the screen. So I try to make it very simple here. So what you basically do is you let all of the 3 majors play against each other, and you create like a little tournament. And for that method, we will simply use like the super trend. You can change the settings a bit. You can also build on that system as well. So this is obviously not perfect, but it's a very good like beginner setup. So first of all, you let Ethereum play against Bitcoin, and what we see right now is that Ethereum winning against Bitcoin by by a lot. Then we have Ethereum against Solana. Also here we see Ethereum winning against Solana. Maybe quickly for the setup, so you don't look at the Ethereum US dollar price or Bitcoin US dollar price, you look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin. So how can you do that? Ethereum, like I made a full video on that, so if you will make it very short, so you can just watch this after this one. So here you basically select, or you type that in, you use like the math function of TradingView, and then you simply press enter, and voila, you see this chart. So for some coins like Ethereum and Bitcoin, there's a preset chart already, so you can simply search for BTC, and then you have this chart right here, and now you compare basically the performance of Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Now, what you do, I deleted the chart, perfect. But basically what you do right now, I will show you the example in a second with Solana against Bitcoin. Now you let all of them ride against or play against each other, and we see that Ethereum is winning against Solana. We see that Solana is winning against Bitcoin, and for each win, they get 1 point. And based on that, we will understand which one is like the stronger player. So this is a very simple system. So for Ethereum wins 1 point against Solana. Solana wins 1 point against Bitcoin. And we see that Ethereum is winning 1 point against Bitcoin. Now, that tells us Ethereum right now is the strongest major. And let's say you have a position, maybe you have some charts open already. Let me quickly think of one which is in an uptrend against Ethereum. There are not a lot right now. Maybe XRP. Doesn't look good. All right, it's in an uptrend. So let's say you're in an XRP position and you are wondering, okay, when should you sell? Now, as long as Ethereum is like the major coin, or the strongest major coin right now, you basically compare the performance of XRP against Ethereum. Now, theoretically, you could say, as long as this is in an uptrend, you hold your XRP position. And once you see an underperformance against the strongest coin, you sell. Now, why do you do that? In crypto, you want to optimize for growth. And when you hold an asset which is performing worse than the next secure asset, in this case, it's like the strongest major, then you are underperforming the market, and we don't want to underperform the market. So we rather hold something less risky than with like a higher performance than to stay in our higher risk coins. So this is a very simple way on how you can sell your coins not too late. Now, the thing that you also want to check is if Bitcoin is in an uptrend. So because altcoins and Bitcoins are positive correlated, you don't want to hold altcoins during a Bitcoin downtrend, because usually what happens throughout those times is that the price of altcoins drop way more than it's the case for Bitcoin. So for example, during this time right here, where Bitcoin dropped by I think 30-something%, stay till here, 25%, or 26%, altcoins did so much worse during this time. So if you remember, like altcoin charts were down sometimes even 60 to 80%. Now, during those times, you don't hold altcoins. So if that happens, this is like one of your signals that tells you, okay, get out of the market quick. Now, obviously, you see that this chart is like, if you have those settings for the super trend, you already see that there's like that the price, like that the downtrend already started a bit earlier. But if you have like the standard settings, the downtrend would have started somewhere around here. So the standard settings are this, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, you see like you would have sold way too late at 92,000. Obviously the price dropped further and altcoins also ripped further. But yeah, this is like one way you could look at it. And again, you can build on that. Like it's not a finished system. This is a very good base that you can build on, a very good foundation, but again, you can improve that. So with that being said, let's head back to the video. Now, what is mistake number 2 that keeps most investors from making the profits they want? Selling too early. Now, picture yourself in Joe's position for a second. You have already made the mistake of selling too late. You watch your portfolio rise to 7 figures and then crash back to where you started. This time, you're determined to not let that happen again. Your portfolio is performing well again, but in the back of your mind, that memory of holding too long is still there. So what happens? You get overly cautious. Every little uptick makes you want to sell. You keep thinking better safe than sorry, and eventually you give in. You sell. Just to watch the same coin continue to perform just without you. That's the other side of the mistake. Fear taking over. So to make sure that doesn't happen, let's head back to the chart we looked at before. I will show you exactly how to avoid selling too early and how to ride the wave to maximize your upside. All right, now the first rule that you should follow if you want to hold like long enough is, as long as, like, let's say you are again in your XRP position and everything is looking good, you are not selling too late, so you're wondering, okay, how long should you continue holding? Now, one of the first things that you should verify is if Bitcoin is still in an uptrend. If Bitcoin heads into a downtrend, this is a very bad sign. So this should make you sell your altcoins really, really quick, because usually maybe altcoins run for 1 or 2 more days if they are strong, but if they aren't, you are going to lose a lot of money. So as long as Bitcoin in an uptrend, you could say this is like the first thing that you want to check and verify to continue holding a position. Now, there are days in crypto where the market resets. So for example, today, obviously there were some strong players, but overall the market wasn't looking too good. So we had like a lot of red numbers, as you see right here. Obviously most of them are relative performances. Ethereum looked good, but most other coins performed pretty poorly. So throughout those times, you don't have to panic. Like a bull run is not just like going, like the market is not going up like day by day by day by day. There are some days where the market resets. So this is typically like completely normal. You could use this system and build on top of it. I highly recommend you to do that. But let's say, like, as long as this is the case, Bitcoin is in an uptrend, everything is all right. Now, the next thing that you want to check out is the following. So you head back to your XRP Ethereum chart, because Ethereum right now is still the strongest major. And as long as you are in an uptrend against Ethereum, you continue holding that position. Now, let's say you hold an AI agent in the virtual ecosystem. What I like to do is always look at the next secure option. And now it gets a bit more complex, but for XRP, the next secure option is the strongest major, which is right now Ethereum. So you compare XRP against Ethereum. But let's say you hold like an AI agent coin, which is within the virtual ecosystem. So for that, we could say, okay, I only think of like high risk positions. Let's say, let's take a high risk position to make the point clear. Hope it's like the right one, not the shitcoin Luna, the other one. How about I find it quick? Luna by Virtuals, this one. Okay, so let's say you are, obviously, that performed really well actually. So let's say you hold Luna by Virtuals, which is like a shitcoin, low market cap coin, and you want to compare it like to the next secure option. For Luna, it's virtual. So you compare the performance of Luna against virtual because it's the next secure option. And based on that, you decide if you want to stay in your position or not. So let's say Luna versus virtual right now, because Luna is in the virtual ecosystem, virtual is the next secure option, you stay in the position because it's in an uptrend against virtual. Obviously, this was a crazy pump, but you could theoretically say, okay, we are in an uptrend against virtual, and as long as this is the case, and as long as Luna is also in an uptrend against the strongest major, and Bitcoin is in an uptrend, you hold the position. So this is another like simple way on how to make sure that you're not selling too early. The third mistake that keeps most investors from making the profits they want, owning way too many coins. Every time someone applies for CGP and I look at their portfolio, I see the same thing. Dozens of coins scattered across the board. Now, why is that a problem? More coins means you are covering more ground, right? You won't miss the next big gainer, or so you think. But let me frame it differently. Imagine you are betting on a horse race. Only one horse wins, the rest are losers. If you bet on every horse, sure, you technically back the winner, but overall, you still lost money. The feeling of security is a lie. So why do investors still do this in crypto? Simply because they are not confident in their choices. They can't tell which coin is the strongest horse in the stall. So they spread their bets, hoping something stays. But here's the problem. With every extra coin you add, you are not reducing risk, you are diluting your profits. So what should you do instead? First, you need to educate yourself on what actually drives an altcoin price. I will release a video on that soon, so if you haven't yet, hit subscribe now. If we hit 2,000 subscribers, I will publish it. Second, once you got that short list of currencies, there's a method to filter them down even further. So only the strongest make it into your portfolio. Here's a method that will help you with exactly that. Alright, now once you have your short list of coins that you want to compare against each other, you are doing the following. So first of all, you're gaining some alpha right now because this is my actual watch list. And what you want to do is, first of all, look out for outperformance against the major, like I'm doing it right now. So for example, ENA against Ethereum. So let's say ENA against Ethereum looks pretty good right now. And also maybe Dogecoin. Dogecoin also looks good against Ethereum. So let's say we want to compare, like we have Dogecoin and ENA right now, and we want to like see which one is the better option right now. So what you do right now is basically compare the performance of Doge against ENA and say, okay, now the stronger coin is the one that I will put into my portfolio. And for Doge, we take this pair. So you basically compare the performance of Doge against ENA. What you see right now is that Doge today started to outperform ENA. Now, as you see, the signal is very, very noisy and we have like a lot of stuff going on. So we will work a bit on that. Let's say we do like this setting right here. Okay, so what we see right now is that Dogecoin against ENA is still in a downtrend, even if we had like this little reset today. Now, the question becomes, which one should you hold right now? Now, during a bull run or during an altcoin season, the winner is usually really, really clear. So we saw, for example, in November, that Dogecoin was outperforming ENA, and ENA wasn't performing bad. So you could say, okay, Dogecoin is a stronger option right now, so you have a larger portion in Dogecoin and only a smaller portion in ENA because it's still outperforming the major right now, even if this signal is not necessarily like a clear one. But we start to see some outperformance here. Now, this is what you're going to do in order to like skim down the list even more and also understand, okay, where should I position myself more? Because like I'm not a trader. Like what I'm doing is just looking at money flows, and based on that I make a decision. And this is like a different style to like what a lot of people out there are preaching. But for me, this is like the best style and worked really, really well, not just for me, but also for the CGP members in the past, because it was just like this guarantees that you are investing in the strongest player. And this is something that you want if you go into altcoins. If you take on more risk, you really want to get paid for that. So yeah, this is what I would recommend you to do if you want to like skim down that list even further. Mistake number 4 is a big one, and it won't just cost you profits in this bull run, it will mess up your chances in every bull run that follows. The mistake, taking on way too much risk. That usually happens in 2 ways. Either by going heavy on low market cap altcoins or by using leverage. And look, I get it. I understand why investors do it. I was in their same shoes after all. But after working with over 1,000 investors, I can tell you this is the #1 reason why portfolios get wrecked. At CGP, we stick to a simple rule of thumb, the 80-20 rule. And under no circumstances should a serious investor ignore it. Here's how it works. 80% of your holdings stay in secure cryptocurrencies, the top 15 coins by market cap. That's your foundation. The other 20% of your portfolio, that's where you take riskier bets. This is what's called the barbell approach. You've got a solid, lower risk base that grows steadily and a smaller, higher risk side for a bigger growth potential. Next rule. No leverage. I know you want to grow your portfolio faster, but leverage, it's just an illusion of fast growth. The only time you should touch leverage is when you have a low sharp strategy with minimal max drawdowns. If you don't even know what that means or how to calculate it, you have no business using leverage. Simple as that. Mistake number 5 that keeps investors from making the profits they want: disagreeing with the market. There's a quote from legendary trader Jesse Livermore. Tape is never wrong, meaning the market tells the truth and the only truth. You have to work with it, not against it. But most investors ignore that. They let their opinions override what the market is actually doing. And because of that, they miss out on serious gains. Let me give you an example. A guy recently applied for CGP and was heavily convinced about a coin called CAF. Fundamentals look great, and honestly, I saw why he believed in it. The research wasn't the problem. The problem? He was disagreeing with the market. He believed the coin should be valued way higher, but the market didn't care, and it never caught up to his belief. In crypto, there's a saying: do you want to be right or do you want to make money? This is why we don't get attached to narratives or coins. We even opened a long in XRP, and yes, I still think it's a shitcoin, but I don't care. If my system tells me to buy XRP, I fucking buy XRP. That's what it means to trade with the market, not your ego. Mistake number 6 that will keep you from making profits in crypto is letting too many opinions influence your decision. Let's take the average investor. They are watching 6 different YouTube channels, following 400 influencers on X, all just to make sure they don't miss a thing. Now, what's the obvious problem? It's too much information. Way too much. Sure, maybe some of the people they follow are actually good traders or investors. I'm not saying ignore everything. For the CGP members watching, you are the exception. You have CGP, focus on that. But for everyone else, yes, some people on social media, including me on this channel, actually want to help you. But let me tell you a quick story. Before I founded CGP, I worked as an advisor for various crypto projects. My role was marketing and communication. Now, why do I tell you this story? Do you know So who always got into those early fundraising rounds? Influencers. And yes, you could literally buy a positive coin recommendation video from your favorite influencers. I'm not naming names, but let's just say you are probably following them. So ask yourself, how much is their opinion really worth if projects can just buy them? Exactly. It's worthless. So my advice is to only follow influencers who are actually educating you. Take that education and apply it. Everything else, it's just noise. Now we are almost at the end, but there's one last mistake that keeps investors from the profits they are hoping for. Entering the crypto market way too late. These investors are like scared rabbits. They only come out once the environment feels fully secure. But here's the problem. In crypto, security doesn't exist. And when all the stars finally align and things feel safe, it's already too late. You have to understand that crypto is a risk market. To benefit, you have to take risks. Trying to play it safe in this environment will only get you two outcomes. A, you miss out on gains because your entry timing sucks. And B, you still lose money because you're chasing the same profit targets that early entrants set when prices were much lower. Let me be clear, those 10x plays, they're only possible when you position in time. So how do you make sure you're not too late? At CGP, we simplify that process. Our members get a preset system condensed into a few simple signals. This gets updated daily, and those signals have led some incredible results. If you are doing this on your own, I recommend watching the video linked in the top right corner. And I've already received a dozen messages from people saying this was the most valuable YouTube video they have ever seen on crypto. And more importantly, starting to make money with it. But if you want to skip all of those mistakes and want our help with maximizing your profits, you can apply now at crypto-gameplan.com. Today, we also decided that in 2 weeks from now, we will increase our prices again. So make sure not to wait too long. And with that being said, I believe highly new that you can make this bull run the best bull run that you ever had, and see you in the next video.